Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle. Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Ako ang pilit pinatatahimik, sinusupil, ginigipit. Ngunit bali-balik ta rin man ako, palitan ng anyo, ibaon, itago. Hindi ako maglalaho. Hindi ako tatahimik. Pagkat ako ang nagpapalaya. Ang ingay sa katahimikan. Ang liwanag sa kadiliman. Ako ang katotohanan.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibigpida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan. Kawan ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Ipag the Blue Eagle, galing, hiding at tigil.
The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.
Good morning, Katipunan. Good morning, Ateneo. This is the Jesuit Hour with, of course, Father Nono Alfonso, SJ. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Obviously, Father Nono is not around and I will be taking over his lead today. My name is Justin Pontino from Radyo Katipunan. Kamusta po kayong lahat? I hope you're all doing great today. Malakas ang ulan, no? Very, it's like raining cats and dogs today. At of course, wala pong pasok ngayon hindi lang po sa Ateneo, kundi sa buong Quezon City. I'm not sure kung yung ibang lugar ay nag-declare na rin ng walang pasok today. But if you're at home right now, of course, please keep safe as always. And syempre, tune in to us today as we, of course, join you up until 12 noon this afternoon here at the Jesuit Hour. So, yan. Of course, wala man si Father Nono today. Of course, I will be, again, as mentioned, taking over. Meron tayong isang mahalagang paksa na tatalakayin today. But bago yan, syempre, we will be of course keeping you kumbaga suspense muna. Mamaya na natin yan pag-uusapan. Of course with our guests for this morning, and as you can see, they're here with us. Later on, ipapakilala natin sila. But before we go, as always with Father Nono, we of course start first with a prayer to guide us for our show this morning. Today is the feast of Saint Dominic de Guzman, the patron saint of astronomers, and of course kilala siya bilang founder ng Order of the Preachers o ang mga Dominicans. Alright? So we of course find ourselves of course in the holy presence of God, and let's make the sign of our faith in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O God, you've enlightened your church by the eminent virtues and preaching of Saint Dominic, your confessor. Mercifully grant by his prayers we may be protected against temporal necessities and daily improve in all that is spiritually good. God of truth, you gave your church a new light in the life and preaching of our Father Dominic. Give us the help we need to support our preaching by holy and simple lives. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, God forever and ever. Amen. Alright, there you go. Maraming salamat po sa pakikidasal sa amin ngayong umaga. Alright, now we continue on with our program this morning. Again, you're tuned in to the Jesuit Hour with Father Nono Alfonso, SJ, and with me, Justin Pontino, just taking over while Father Nono is away. I think he's in a conference right now. So, Father Nono, ingat po kayo as you go through your day today. And as mentioned, we will be discussing a very important topic. This is a pressing topic that we are actually going to look into. As you know, of course, we are familiar with Pope Francis's encyclical on the environment. Of course, indigenous peoples remind us that human beings have a shared responsibility in the care of the common home. Now, they are, however, vulnerable to dispossession by corporations and industries, of course, facilitated in many cases by the state. that exploit land and natural resources within the areas that are not only central to the identity of indigenous peoples, but also crucial to biodiversity conservation. And that's what we're going to discuss this morning. It's all about the Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities Conserved Areas and Territories Act. Haba ng pangalan. That's or the ICCA. Is that correct? ICCA or ICCA Act? ICCA Act. And we are joined here today by our guests from the Philippine ICCA Consortium and the Asian NGO Coalition for Agrarian Reform and Rural Development. By the way, this show is, of course, in partnership with our friends from the John J. Carroll Institute of Church and Social Issues. So, ipakilala na natin ang ating mga resource person ngayong umaga. First off, we have the president of the Philippine ICCA Consortium. He is a member of the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group of the Washington-based Global Environment Facility, or the GEF, the council member of the Geneva-based Global ICCA Consortium. Medyo mabibigat to ha. This is United Nations po, right? Tama po ba? Okay. And he used to be he is a degree holder of political science and an MA holder in urban planning and regional planning at UP Diliman. And of course, he's Sagada-born Kangkanay, Igorot man. And yan. And so please welcome Mr. Giovanni B. Reyes. Bati po muna kayo, sir.
Thank you very much, Radio Katipunan, for inviting us. This is a privilege.
Yeah, same as well. And our next guest is he's a true blue Atenean, sabi nga, from grade school to Loyola schools. He is also an alumnus of the Department of Psychology, batch 2010. And as I see here, he was it says here that you are a former student of Father Nono Alfonso himself in the Ateneo when he was still a brother teaching. Ano nga ulit yung tinuturo ni Father nung time na yun?
Life of Christ.
Life of Christ. Okay. Now, you're a current project officer at the Asian NGO Coalition for Agrarian Reform and Rural Development, or ANGOC, right? Of course, although hindi siya ethnically indigenous, but he's a full-blooded indigent at heart. Alright. Please welcome Mr. Timothy F. Salomon.
Hello, dating kaskwela.
Yeah, mga Katipuneros. We call them Katipuneros here. Eh. But of course, we since again we're heard here in not just in Ateneo but even outside of Ateneo. Kaya in general, tawag namin dyan mga Katipuneros. Yes, correct. Yan. All right. So again, tulad nga po na nasabi natin kanina, we will be talking about this. This is actually a proposed bill in the Congress right now. Siguro simulan na natin yung discussion about this bill, because I understand this is already in Congress, but it because of the change, no, nagkaroon ng konting parang naisantabi muna siya, tama ba? Or can you tell us more first of what this bill is all about and what does your organization parang have to do with this bill? So anyone can start?
Yeah, this is all about yung mga portions of ancestral domains which indigenous communities place very high value in terms of spiritual, cultural, and ecological value. Ito yung mga portions na talagang pinapangalagaan. Kasi if to a human body, the most protected is the heart. Sa ancestral domains, the most protected would be watershed. The areas which they designate as the dwelling places of ancestral spirits, and it has resulted into conservation because of this built-in structure or this built-in perception that these areas should not be utilized, only to be utilized when for purposes of spiritual and cultural performance, for example. So yun yung mga rules that indigenous peoples placed on these areas that has resulted into their conservation. Of course, indigenous peoples do not have a term for conservation, pero yung practice nila has led towards conservation. Yung second portion is yung mga watersheds. If you look at the Cordillera region, ang dami-daming mga rice terraces, so that will reflect yung mastery of the terrain or the mastery in hydraulic engineering by the Igorot people. So yung livelihood being the source doon sa rice terraces, yung food, kailangan protektahan yung watershed.
Okay.
Which in their local terms they can call Muyong system in Ifugao, and they call it Batangan system in Mountain Province, and Lapat system in the Banao areas in Kalinga and Abra. So yun yung mga conserved areas that we thought should be thrusted into the official policy para maprotektahan sila. Because despite yung IPRA, despite having the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act and at least 6 provisions in the Philippine Constitution protecting Indigenous Peoples' rights, we are not yet safe from the entry of large-scale industries.
Like mining.
And large-scale logging na ini-FPIC naman ng government. Despite being sacred, ang mga lugar na yan, it should not be open further to any free and prior informed consent process. It should be a no-go zone. That is the rationale of the ICCA bill that we filed during the 16th and 17th Congress. We started filing this since 2015. And then with the help of then Congressman Ted Bagilat of Ifugao, we reached up to the committee level, but unfortunately the time would not be enough to
hindi talaga umabot kumbaga sa plenary.
In both the Senate and in the House of Representatives, umabot lang sa committee hearing.
So as I was asking earlier, before we went live, yung there's at least of course there's a House bill, and then there's also a counterpart Senate bill naman.
Yes.
So Representative Teddy Bagilat, siya yung sa Senate, sino bali ang sponsor ng bill na?
At that time it was Senator Legarda.
Doreen Legarda. Okay.
But since she is no longer there, we thought it might be good to look for other senators with similar-minded as Legarda.
And similar advocacy, okay. How about Tim? How does your organization play here yung dun sa for the passing of this very important bill?
Yung ANGOC kasi is operating around 10 countries in Asia. Pero particularly, meron kami programs in the Philippines. One of which is to advocate for the passage of the ICCA bill. Ito nga yung sinasabi ni Jovan that protects and recognizes the rights of indigenous peoples over particular lands that they have spiritual values over, and therefore must be respected because of their inherent rights and relationship with nature. In fact, although this can be seen as something of a social justice measure na kikilalanin yung karapatan ng mga katutubo, nakikita rin ito bilang isang malaking opportunity kung saan yung buong lipunan ng mga kapitbahay. For example po, I will bring it to Katipunan and to Quezon City. Madalas po binabaha ang area natin, diba?
Yes. Marikina, oo, tama.
And ako nung pag-graduate ako noong 2009, tinamaan kami ng Undoy. Nag-stuck ako nun sa Loyola Schools, nakitulog kami dun sa campus ministry office noon.
Di ba parang nagkaroon pa kayo ng isang buong gabi yata na nandyan lang kayo sa covered courts.
And in fact, at tingin ko itong ICCA bill, hindi ko ko alam kung alam ng mga atinista ito, pero yung fact na may tubig pa ay dahil dun sa pangangalaga ng mga kapatid nating dumagat, limuntado at mga alta.
Because ito yung kasi yung kumbaga yung Marikina para siyang it's a big parang funnel, no, na yung waters from the mountains in Rizal and in the Sierra Madre areas at yung mga kapatid natin doon na katutubong dumagat naman, no, sila yung kumbaga they actually manage the watershed areas there pero since of course I understand there's also illegal logging and quarrying din na nagaganap, ano?
In fact, at ito yung gusto namin sabihin. It's a social justice measure, but at the same time, it's also a measure to protect all areas surrounding these mountains and other indigenous people's areas from damages from the environment. Katulad nito, yung mga kakilala, yung mga kasama namin sa Montalban Rizal, mga katutubong tumagat ng Montalo, meron kaming ginawang planning doon ng kanilang ancestral domain at na-uncover na they do not control anymore 48% of the land. At na-convert na into subdivisions. Quarry,
dami na nga, no?
and into parang small farms. Sacred lands nila ito. And ito, ang net effect, at we made some studies, isa ito sa mga contributors kung bakit tumitindi ang baha sa Antipolo, sa Marikina. Konektado yung nature kasi hindi naman niya tinitingnan yung mga political boundaries. Nakikita na in fact matagal na 'to nangyayari at kaya nung nagkaroon ng Ondoy, very vulnerable ang Ateneo, ang buong Metro Manila from flooding because wala na yung mga punong kukuha sana nung mag-a-absorb sana ng tubig or magpo-protect ng mga land from landslide.
Which of course leads me to this question, no? Syempre para makarelate din yung ating mga manonood on the importance of passing this bill. Of course, yung value niya dun sa mga tao na nasa, kasi this is of course to protect those who are in the highlands and also in the protected supposed to be the ancestral domains of our indigenous peoples and communities. Pero sa mga nasa urban areas, no, how do we somehow connect that and parang to give the importance of this bill for them?
We must emphasize that when the IP conserved areas are protected, it is not only the communities of indigenous peoples that are benefiting. Of the whole 5 million total hectares of ancestral lands in the Philippines, there are some 25 to 30 million Filipinos who are benefiting, and those who live adjacent to or near the ancestral domains of indigenous peoples. Like for example, pinoprotektahan ng mga Kalanguya and Ikalahans ang mountains as their ritual site, as their cathedral.
These are from the areas
in Nueva Vizcaya,
Nueva
for example.
Vizcaya, okay.
Nabebenefitan yung mga lowland communities in
the plains,
in Pangasinan. Mostly agricultural areas yun. So, libre yung tubig nila because of the governance systems above them. So, all over the Philippines, there are from 25 to 30 million Filipinos benefiting from the traditional governance systems of indigenous peoples.
Correct.
So, kung itong ICCA bill ay maipasa, this would add a layer of protection. Kasi meron naman ng constitution, meron ng IPRA, meron ng treaties, conventions, and declarations where the government is a signatory. Pero this would add sana na focusing to these areas na talagang pinanggagalingan ng tubig ng upland and lowland communities.
At lalayo pa ba tayo, no? Dito na lang mismo sa Metro Manila, saan ba natin kinukuha yung ating tubig? It's in the watersheds in the mountains of Sierra Madre.
Sa Sierra Madre, and you study the way that Dumagats and Acta Remontados care about the environment.
Right.
Sa atin, sa kanila tayo dapat magbayad ng ecological services.
We have to thank them, no?
Because sila yung dahilan kung bakit meron pa tayong tubig na iniinom dito sa Metro Manila.
Exactly.
In fact, lahat po ng dams, Ipo,
Anggat, Magat.
Magat.
yung taas.
Yes.
All of these are within ancestral domains. Bulacan, in Rizal,
Right.
lahat to. In fact, ang nakakalungkot pa nga doon, they don't get any benefit from their conservation, from
efforts.
their care for the environment. Kasi they do it voluntarily. They do it because it is their identity. Yun yung relasyon nila sa kalikasan. So tapos ang nangyayari, ang binabayaran kunyari ng Metro Manila, hindi naman sila. Ang binabayaran
The concessionaires.
yung corporations that handle this water and electricity services.
Nakakalungkot, no? Well, yun nga, nakakalungkot isipin no, that they don't benefit from, supposed to be that they have the direct beneficiaries of yung services that, yung also of course the resources that we actually enjoy from, of course, their efforts of conserving nature as it is. Now, in relation to that, can you, siguro pwede tayo magbigay ng mga halimbawa siguro ng lugar na maaring gawing conservation areas or parang para sa mga katutubo, or siguro paano siguro pamamahalaan ng mga katutubo, or what do you already know na parang conservation efforts that they're doing as of the moment?
Well, we have already piloted at least 10 sites in the Philippines by doing some mapping and resource inventory over areas that they considered are community conserved areas, traditionally conserved areas. So yung first step would be to map these areas. And by mapping and by doing so, yung parang tina-translate mo yung knowledge nila about their terrain into its physical dimension in a form of a 3D model. Para makita nila yung kung ano yung nasa kaisipan nila later on. They will describe in their own traditional knowledge ano yung terrain nila, ano yung watersheds nila, and then they will translate that into a map. So that will give them a stronger position when it comes to planning and when it comes to negotiations. We have mapped at least 280,000 hectares from 2016 up to the present. Na-identify ang mga yun by the communities themselves. Ito yung aming watershed, ito yung aming creeks and rivers that we have spiritual and cultural values on. So let us map them. So yun ang minapa namin. And actually part ito ng bill to do mapping and resource inventory, but without having to wait for the bill to pass, let's do some piloting. So in all, 280,000 ang na-map as a model to show na pwede pala na ang communities pwede pala silang imapa yung kanilang mga territories. And then later on, based on the map, mag-inventory of resources sila. Meaning to try to examine kung ano yung state of health ng forests nila by identifying kung ano yung mga species na nandoon, plot by plot, block by block, on a 1 kilometer stretch line. Parang ganon. So, for every mapped area, concomitant to that is the conduct of resource inventory and conservation planning. So ito yung, because no matter how a plan is crafted, because purportedly it is supportive or protecting indigenous peoples, kung hindi din naman sila ang gumawa, wala rin. Ang aming pananaw ay it should be people who have the knowledge over their terrain that should do the mapping, the inventory, and the planning. And that's how best a plan can come up. And of course, we are supported by research studies, which shows that when compared to protected areas, mas mataas ang level ng biodiversity ng community-managed areas compared to protected areas, area systems. So therefore, there is a need to expand yung paggamit ng traditional governance systems doon sa protected areas. Meaning to say that in areas where protected areas, systems, and ancestral domains are overlapping, it should be the communities concerned doon ang mag-govern and not the protected area system under INAIPAS or under the government system.
Alright. Okay, so medyo mainit na yung discussion natin, no, about this bill. Of course, bago tayo magpatuloy, no, check muna natin kung sino yung mga nanonood sa atin. At feeling ko nai-engross din sila sa mga pinag-uusapan natin ngayong umaga. Sige, batiin lang natin ang ilan sa mga tagapakinig natin. Okay, we have here Jeter Sablayan. Magandang umaga po. Wala po si Father, so pero magandang umaga po, Father. Si Michelle Tolentino. Hello, Tim and Sir Giovanni. And of course, incidentally, no, ngayon ay the International Indigenous Peoples Week, no? Saktong-sakto. Or month ba or week? This week.
Day.
This day, exact day.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow ang exact ano. But this is the week, no?
Yeah. World Indigenous Peoples Day.
Tsaka National
Tomorrow.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Ayun, saktong-sakto din pala, no? Ayan. So, and also we have Kimberly Alvarez. Sabi niya, Happy IP Week. Yan.
Yeah.
Sabi ni Michelle, malayo ka daw sa mic. Oo. Partida. Sabi mo nga kanina, no? Mas malakas daw ang boses mo, eh. Ayan. Si Miss Claire de Maisip, sabi niya, salamat Tim at Sir Giovanni sa pagbabahagi ng kahalagahan ng ICCA sa pangangalaga sa lupa at kalikasan. Of course, we have to we have to urgently pass this bill, no? Yan. Okay, so pupunta muna po tayo for a short break para bigyan natin ng pagkakataong makahinga ang ating mga guests. This is the Jesuit Hour with Father Nono Alfonso. We'll be back in a short while.
The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.
Parati ka na lang ba nagmamadali sa umaga? Baka nakakalimutan mong magdala ng baon na magbibigay ng inspirasyon sa araw mo. Halina't magkapet pandasal muna tayo. Pakinggan ang mga munting refleksyon mula kay Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, Father Nono Alfonso, Father J. Boy Gonzales, at Miss Riza Singson Kaupeng na siguradong magpapasigla ng gising mo. Mapapanood ang Kapet Pandasal tuwing 3:45 ng umaga, Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa ABS-CBN Channel 2 at sa JustCom TV YouTube page. Kapamilya, meron bang mga suliraning bumabagabag sa iyong isipan? Kung kayo ay may pinagdadaanan sa buhay, sa pamilya o karelasyon, huwag mangamba. Dahil wala namang bagay na hindi nasosolusyonan ng mabuting usapan. Tumutok na sa Usapang Kapatid kasama sina Father Nono Alfonso SJ at si Miss Ilsa Reyes at tatalakayin ang mga isyu ng simbahan at lipunan tuwing Sabado, alas 11 ng gabi sa DZMM sa 6:30 at Teleradyo. Tumawag lang po kayo sa 416-6300. Maaari nyo rin kaming i-text sa DZMM /React your concerns at isend sa 2366 o mag-iwan ng mensahe sa ating FB page. Problema? Usapan lang yan, kapamilya! Are you seeking His wisdom? Do you wish to hear the living and enduring truth? The Word Exposed features Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle's reflections and insights on the Sunday Scriptures. Listen to the first and second readings, as well as the Sunday Gospel, like never before, down to earth, crystal clear, awe-inspiring, and yet simple to understand and appreciate. In just an hour on the day of the Lord, let the teachings of the Word renew your life. The Word Exposed airs every Sunday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. on ABS-CBN Sports and Action, and 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. on ABS-CBN News Channel. You can also follow The Word Exposed on TV Maria, Salt and Light Eye Catholic TV, Shalom TV, and Telecare in the United States.
Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle. The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.
At kayo po'y nakikinig pa rin sa The Jesuit Hour with Father Nono Alfonso. At habang wala po si Father ay ako muna ang nagtitake over. Ako po si Justin Pontino ng Radyo Katipunan. Kami po ay sumasahim papawid sa inyong talapitan 87.9 FM on your FM radio. At if you're within the Katipunan and Ateneo areas, you can also listen to us through our online radio streams at radionomy.com/Radyo Katipunan, liveonlineradio.net/Philippine/Radyo-Katipunan at radio.org.ph/Katipunan. At of course, makakasama nyo rin po kami through Facebook Live sa aming Facebook account at facebook.com/Radyo Katipunan. Ayan, so muli pinag-uusapan po natin ngayong umaga ang tungkol sa ICCA bill, no? This is the Indigenous Community Conserved Areas Bill. Isang mahalagang bill na, of course, this is speaking about protecting the interest of the indigenous communities in protecting and conserving their ancestral lands. Now, of course, this is also ito yung nga lang yung ito medyo iniisip natin yung difference nitong bill na to with the kasi meron tayong existing bill on law on the ancestral domain, no? Hindi ba to nakakalaban dun sa mga umiiral na batas like ito yung ancestral domain or also yung Bangsamoro Autonomous Region bill, no, for the Muslim Mindanao areas?
It will serve as complementary to these existing bills already. The problem with the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act is that walang provision that says na closed yung community conserved areas to development. It's still subject to free and prior informed consent, which we all know na maraming mga problema, maraming concerns. An FPIC process, of course, takes a very, very long time, but there had been cases where this had been rushed together with government agencies. At doon tayo nagkakaproblema ng banggaan between indigenous communities and government agencies like the NCIP because of the FPIC. Walang provision doon that says these cathedrals or these spiritual sites of IPs are no-go zones for any human development or any interventions.
Okay. So in short, bali ang sa pagkakaintindi ko, dahil of course with the ancestral domain, they're just giving consent. Kumbaga, you will be parang if they want to explore, they have to have consent from, of course, the community. Yeah. Pero with this act or with this bill, it's really parang to strictly prohibit.
As defined and as practiced by indigenous peoples, yung talagang areas na sinasabi nilang hindi pwede yung papasok dyan dahil ganito yung traditionally na gamit niya. Yun yung ipo-point out ng ICCA bill na ang mga yan, yung mga sites na yan, dwelling places of ancestral spirits, watershed areas, should be close to any whatsoever.
Any form of development from outside.
Whether it is plantation, whether it is dams, whether it is whatever. Basta ang use niya is as defined traditionally by the indigenous community in that area. So yun naman kasi ang dahilan kung bakit meron pa tayong natitirang gubat at rivers, lakes and creeks because of that perception. Ito yung sinasabi natin na sana ay and by the way, I salute all indigenous peoples in this country for the defense of ancestral domains and the defense of ancestral lands, because it's not only indigenous peoples that they are defending, it's also millions of Filipinos who live adjacent to these communities that benefit from their defense of ancestral domains. Salute all to indigenous peoples.
Yes.
So and to continue, yung sinasabi ng outside world na biodiversity, that has already been a practice for 300 years. So yung UNCBD, the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous Peoples' Rights, and the Philippine Constitution and IPRA, they came 300 years later. Much longer yung practices ng Bukidnon indigenous peoples. For example, the Itchisingelaha, the Moyong in Ifugao. These are centuries of practice na dapat yun ang i-adapt ngayon ng gobyerno para tuluyang magkaroon tayo ng supply of water and clean air. I mean, indigenous peoples do not know, but what they are actually doing is mitigating climate change and deforestation. And in the context of overfishing and deforestation, it's only their traditional governance systems that are the key to the protection of the sites. Now, we want this to be officially adopted sana through the ICCA law. So nakikita namin na it will somewhat complement what is.
So it's really just to complement the existing
in other
laws that we
yes.
have
Yeah.
on the indigenous peoples community. Yes.
To present it squarely, the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, it's a very progressive law. In the sense na, in fact, maraming bansang inggit sa Pilipinas na meron tayong Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. It is regarded as a law na unique in the sense na it provides indigenous peoples the right to determine their own leaps and bounds in terms of territory and in terms of governance. So malaking bagay na yon na ang ginagawa ng state ay kayo magsasabihin sa tribo, kayo, sabihin nyo kung saan yung lupa nyo, ikilalanin namin at papayagan namin kayo na pamahalaan yan ayon sa inyong kaparaanan. Ganun ang ginagawa ng Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. Very unique yan sa buong mundo. I think what the ICCA does is parang, so to speak, it's an expansion pack. Para siyang ganun. Para siyang
Pinapalawig pa niya, ika nga, yung
rights.
yung
Kasi kung
karapatan.
binigyan ng IPRA, yung karapatan na pamahalaan yung kanilang lupang ninuno, ang ginagawa ng ICCA ay dinagdadagan ng mas dagdag pang kapangyarihan, dagdag pang proteksyon para, kasi nga sinasabi nga ni Jovan, kahit may IPRA, meron mga loopholes na nagagamit ng ilang sektor like government or businesses para pasukin pa rin yung ancestral domain. So ang gustong gawin ng ICCA nga ay number one nga, bigyan ng dagdag na safeguards o
Declaration.
And at the same time, gagawan din ng paraan kasi considering nga na meron, at alam natin yung nangyayari sa climate change, nagbabago ang klima, ulan ngayon, medyo OA na nga yung ulan.
Oo. Yeah.
Tapos, at kahit umuulan, nangyayari yung, for example, kung nabalitaan nyo po sa Pangasinan, recently na poison yung mga isda, ng mga mangingisda sa Agno River sa Pangasinan. And ang Agno River flows from Benguet to, hindi ko alam kung saan, Pangasinan. Tapos, yung, kasi meron daw natagpuan na arsenic dun sa tubig. And it could be, it is traced from the mining sa Benguet.
Sa Benguet.
So ang sinasabi is, bagaman kinikilala na yung karapatan ng mga katutubo dito, yung pagkilala ng karapatan ng katutubo ay hindi lang para sa katutubo. Ito ay para sa buong lipunan. Kung if ever lang na narespeto yung karapatan ng mga katutubo na pamahalaan yung sarili ng lupa, ay sana hindi na poison yung mga pangisdaan din sa
Kung sadyang walang ganap talaga na kumbaga full respect ika nga no dun sa rights, which of course everybody will definitely benefit from it naman no in the long run. Now aside from that, what are the other highlights of the bill? Aside, of course, we already are very clear with what the purpose is of the bill, but are there any other highlights of the bill that are good to note?
Yeah, it will seek to establish the ICCA registry.
Okay.
Some kind of an information system na kung saan yung mga minapa ng mga katutubo mismo ay ipapakita doon sa information. Well, of course, in terms of the resources that they have identified in the areas, like yung tree species and herbal plants, for example, it is up to the community to decide kung isasama nila doon sa registry. But in the absence of a registry, we have tapped the UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program. So I was part of a trip to visit the UNEP in London, and we were able to secure the agreement that yung mga minapa natin dito sa Philippines na models of ICCA areas would be registered in the UNEP as another layer of protection. Kasi kung ang UNEP ang magsasabi na wait, wag niyong galawin yan dahil that has been mapped already as a community conserved area, siguro naman merong may mas heavier impact kaysa sa gobyerno ang magsasabi na wag galawin yan. Pero as we have experienced in the past, kahit yan sinasabi, pumapasok pa rin yung mga extractive industries. At any rate, ito yung isang nakikita natin na isi-set up sana na ICCA registry, so that kung sino man ang may gustong, especially for the planners, regional and environmental planners, for example, and policy makers at the region and provincial levels can examine this ICCA registry to guide them in planning, especially for infrastructure like the building of roads. Baka mayroon naman silang masasagasaan na dyan na sacred site. But this map would show na wag mong pasukin yung area na yan dahil nga ito yung sinasabi natin na designated ritual site ng IP. So therefore, ang use ng isang ICCA registry would be to add a layer of protection to these communities by informing the public what is not and what should not be in the planning.
Now, I understand this has been going on, no? The process of having this bill enacted has been going on for 2 years na ba? Or parang almost 2 years, no? And bakit hindi pa siya talaga naisa sa batas? Have you encountered any parang roadblocks along the way? O ano bang mga balakid ba ang bakit hindi to siguro na ipapasa? Would you have like any speculation lang naman?
Well, for the IPROLO, it took about more than 10 years to pass it.
Of course, aside from the fact na nagpalit tayo ng Kongreso, pero 2 years is past no?
Parang mabilis yung turnover ng 16th Congress to the 17th Congress. Parang kulang yung 3 years yata na isa batas ang isang ganitong na kailangan talaga yung multi-sectoral dialogues. And of course, one of the balakid na nakikita natin is yung other interest groups. Large-scale mining would definitely be a concern on this.
Unless this is, of course, made as a priority bill, no? Ika nga of this government, no? Sa tingin nyo, anong posisyon kaya ng gobyerno natin? Specifically ng Pangulo?
Sa ngayon po kasi, itong ICCA bill, it's a fairly young bill. So, ang tingin ko, wala pa naman ho masyadong defined na block na JCCA. Since nga, it's still a parang hindi pa ganun kalawak yung constituents niya, yung mga sumusuporta. At hindi rin ganun kalawak din yung bumabangga. There could be potential people
Allies.
or sectors na maging kakampi. Pero I think ang pinakamalaki talaga is yung wala pa masyadong knowledge of it. So kailangan pa talaga siyang ikalat at ipaliwanag sa mga... In fact, tingin ko nga po, it's not a hard bill to say. Kasi particularly, I think yung climate change movement is picking up. Particularly sa mga kabataan. And kung to give some numbers, yung forests natin, kasi forests are the primary protectors natin sa environment. 75% of all forests in the Philippines,
Located.
80% in the world, ay nasa loob ng indigenous people's territory.
Correct. Oo.
And yung mga key biodiversity areas, yung mga charismatic animals, the Philippine eagle, yung rafflesia, the flower, all these areas, majority of them, 3/4 to 4/5 are indigenous people's areas. Sila ang nag-govern. And in fact, interest talaga ng youth yun. Kasi, I don't want to put a wedge between generations. To be frank, medyo happy yung humanity the past years.
Happy talaga.
Gusto tayo ng wagas.
Because,
ang dami nating gumawa tayo ng
masyado nating,
cellphone, ang dami nating kinain, ganyan. And nagpaparandam na si Mother Nature. Medyo kailangan nyo ayusin kasi maubos na yung resources natin. And through the generations, mararamdaman yun ng mga kabataan. At nararamdaman na siya ngayon.
No, with the effects of climate change, no, it's really dawning upon us talaga kasi I mean, the weather right now is different from previous years eh. Kaya ang lakas talaga nung impact, no. And also yun nga, the realization that this is a pressing problem that we should all act na immediately.
At ang nakakapagtaka po doon ay yung climate change, may mga ilang pretenders to that. Like, yung government, hindi ko naman sinasabi pretender government, pero they have their own climate change mitigation measures such as protected areas or yung mga reforestation efforts na sila ang gumagawa. Right. Pero kung titingnan natin yung numbers, at nabanggit na natin ni Jovan kanina, there have been studies, several of them, proving that indigenous people's ways of governance are infinitely more effective. In fact, ang sinasabi nga nila, kapag IP area, na-mitigate yung effect ng climate change in total. May mga areas na hindi naapektuhan because of yung governance of the indigenous people's areas. Meron mga areas na naapektuhan pero very minimal. So yung mga na-intact yung ganitong governance systems, sila yung kayang mag-cope. So tingin ko, it's not a matter, it's a side na kailangan nating pangalagaan ng kalikasan. Pero it's also already a matter of survival. At ang tingin ko nga po yung mga katutubo, sila yung kuya sa pangangalaga sa kalikasan. Kasi sila na yung may karanasan dito. Hundreds of years, thousands of years of experience. Bakit hindi natin gamitin yung ganong klaseng malalim na
ika nga, there's no better way to solve the problem, kung hindi yung mismong mga taong nakakaalam, ang mga taong nakakaramdam, at syempre kung sila na yung talagang nangangalaga doon, sila yung talagang dapat na protektahan at kumbaga bigyan ng pansin, ika nga. No?
Yeah, well, all the recommendations by research groups and institutions that found out na ang most effective areas that can mitigate the effects of climate change being indigenous people's territories, ang lahat ng mga recommendations nila is yung pagrespeto ng IP rights. Respetuhin mo lang yung IP rights and you will be also contributing much to environmental protection.
Right.
Because it is them who are directly connected doon sa mga kahoy, sa mga forest, sa mga tubig. I mean, we are calling for the 25 to 30 million Filipinos to support indigenous peoples. Dahil kung masira yung mga bundok na yan na kung saan matatagpuan yung mga IP communities, kayo din ang malalagas dyan. Like what was explained by Tim a while ago, napoisonan yung papunta ng Pangasinan. Can you imagine what will happen to Metro Manila kung nalag out ang Sierra Madre? Can you imagine what will happen in Pangasinan kung Benguet and the ikalahan territories of Santa Fe will be lagged out? Wala na. Where will 10 million lowlanders from Pangasinan and Nueva Ecija go? Mawawalan sila ng tubig. So we would like to appeal to the congressmen and to the governors of the provinces of these lowlands where they have adjacent to ancestral domains to support this bill and to support indigenous communities and to defend their rights and to respect their customary laws, dahil ito talaga for 10 years na pinalabas ng UNCBD, World Bank, other research institutions from the academy and from the church, lahat ng sinasabi nila is ito: just respect the people's customary laws and their traditional governance systems, and we will be ensured of the protection of the environment.
And in fact, no, ayun nga, it all boils down to pure respect of people's rights. Na hindi na nga, actually dapat nga hindi na rin kailangan talaga ng batas, 'di ba? Dahil it is a fundamental virtue, no? It's really something that we should have inherent, na talagang, well, anyway, yun nga, no, sabi nga natin, it all boils down to respect. But sa tingin nyo, ano pang magagawa natin siguro, no? How about the other sectors, like particularly ang simbahan, ang media? Paano sa tingin nyo pang makakatulong itong mga to help you with this campaign or with this laban?
Tingin ko po since it's a fairly young bill, if ang malaking tulong is to build awareness on the movement.
Right.
Alam ko po at I am very glad that the church has already issued a couple of policies or statements saying that climate change is a moral issue.
Of course, starting with the encyclical of Pope Francis Laudato Si.
In fact, sinabi nga rin po ni Pope Francis na kapag ancestral domain niyan, ang final say ay ang and it's a matter of respect for the indigenous peoples, and it's a matter of our survival din. Na it's inherent to the teachings of the church on the integrity of the environment. Na and yun nga po yung yung intimate relationship. Kapag nirespeto mo yung katutubo, ini-ensure mo din na meron kang tubig na maiinom bukas, meron kang hangin na lalanghap bukas. Yun po yung gusto naming maipakalat na message na kung sana at kayang-kaya siya ikalat. Nakikita naman natin, di ba? Bumabaha.
Well, the church has this doctrine ba yung tawag doon? This the integrity of creation.
Yes, Laudato Si.
Which indigenous peoples have been practicing already. The deep the intensity of religious beliefs of indigenous peoples as they practice in their ancestral domains is very intense, and I think that gives full measure about the idea on integrity of creation. Kasi yung may mga bawal talaga na huwag pasukin na yan because precisely to prevent overuse or prevent overutilization of these resources. And basically, we have been enriching non-indigenous communities, even the world. They have been mining our territories for over 100 years. But look at the services at the present. We have enriched the stocks exchange in New York and Manila and Makati, Geneva. But pag pumunta ka sa Lepanto, for example, in Mangkayan, which has been mined by American companies for over a century, tingnan mo naman yung nila, tingnan mo yung level of social services. So yung nawawala sa atin na resources, it's not compensating us. So yun ang siguro isang tignan na ongoing dialogues between the church and indigenous peoples, because aside from protecting the integrity of creation, the biodiversity around us, meron tayong dahilan kung bakit we need to establish dialogues and commitments for the sake of planetary concerns.
Iniisip ko nga po, sir, parang malaking bagay kung yung church and media. It's one thing to popularize the idea of conservation and IP rights as something intimately connected. And another is, I think we need to address then the other side. Kasi ang meat of the matter is medyo may mga gahaman na greed ang nag-uubos ng resources ng earth. And I think the church has that power to tell these sectors na greedy, na mag-reflect naman sila sa practices nila. Na if we use up the resources, what will happen to
the
future
next
generations?
Correct. Ayan, nako. Wala na naman tayong oras. An hour has almost passed us, and sayang, no, marami pa tayo sanang pwedeng pag-usapan tungkol dito sa napaka-pressing at napakahalagang paksa na ito, no. But of course, siguro we leave it to our mga tagapakinig, no, to of course assess themselves as well, no, through this discussion, and see, no, what they can also do, no. And speaking of course, bago tayo magtuluyang magtapos, tingnan muna natin kung kamusta ang ating mga manonood. Ayan, so we have of course a few people still tuned in with us. Gabi Alegre, magandang umaga po. Si Lester Mendiola, good morning, and also Gino Flores. All right. So to end our discussion, few words. Any message that you'd like to impart to our listeners?
I would like the listeners to please understand that the only way we can protect our environment is to recognize, respect, and protect the rights of indigenous peoples. And again, thank you for Radyo Katipunan for this privilege of guesting.
You're welcome, Tim.
Ang gusto ko pong message sana ay, on the other side, yung mga grupo, yung mga sectors that have interests on the lands of the indigenous peoples, yung mga kumpanya at saka government agencies. Yung interests nyo are, I know that it is part of your business, it is part of your mandate. Pero balikan nyo po sana, tao muna tayo bago tayo naging korporasyon o bago tayo naging gobyerno. I hope you've reflect on your intentions and motivations and see that the interests of our indigenous peoples are the interests of everybody.
Alright. Ayan, so una-una maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo dito. We are very much privileged that of course you're here with us and to discuss this very important matter. And of course we feel honored that you have chosen us to use as a channel to inform everybody of your advocacy. So maraming salamat po. And of course, we'd like to also thank everybody who've tuned in with us today. Of course, the Jesuit Hour always airs every day from 11 to 12 in the afternoon. Of course, with Father Nono Alfonso. So next, tomorrow, although tomorrow we will have the Simbahang Lingkod ng Bayan taking over this spot, but we will be of course seeing Father Nono again next week, same time, 11 a.m. only here on the Jesuit Hour. So friends, maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. This has been Justin Pontino, and you are again tuned in to Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Good afternoon and have a great day.
The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.